Welcome to the Texas Goat Radio Show. I'm your host, Notorious. This is live stream, blah, blah, blah. It's the one that he's doing today the day that he is going to be on the Chrissy Mayer show. If he shows up, I have my doubts. I really do. But he's narcissistic enough, or whatever you want to call it. He is prideful enough and boastful enough to probably show up. And just a heads up, Chrissy Mayer was practicing censorship in her chat earlier. The live stream with Reddix, who coincidentally privated her videos on Owen Benjamin. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works out. Shout out to Owen Benjamin Highlights, though. They paid cold hard cash to get their name on there, and that was beautiful because that's probably one of the best things that could have happened, because Owen Benjamin Highlights has all of the videos that you could possibly want about exposing Owen Benjamin, as well as Milker Nation.
I'm back at the piano. I know people keep having song requests that I don't get to, so here I am. This one's for Blue Bunny Bear. So what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about starting a small business, avoiding victim consciousness, and the Airbnb story. Sounds good, huh? Sounds good. So you think you can tell?
Oh my.
Goes. We're just two lost souls swimming in a fishbowl, year after year. Told my heart, how I wish you don't grow up.
I should have went through this. I had no idea that this was going to be 10 minutes of
victim consciousness and how to start a business. And I'll tell you why. One, the Airbnb saga has reached a pretty funny conclusion. And my one of my confidants, partners in non-crime, Adam, Director Bear, who's leaving right now. We did some great work together.
So the irony, he's going to tell you how to start a business. What business has Owen ever started? He has a couple of LLCs so that he can funnel his stolen money. But as far as business, he could teach you how to non-Christian televangelist type stuff. He can show you how to do that.
He goes on Reddit sometimes, and I'm just going to tell the story. I don't like to include Reddit in storylines because it's just such a pit of despair, gamma hives, and all this stuff. But because...
Truth. Everything that he's ever said about Reddit is a lie. The only thing that Reddit has ever seen, that I've ever seen Reddit do, is call him out on his crap. I've never seen one post about threatening anybody's kids, family, wife, anything.
Adam is documenting our story. He likes to go there to see, what's going on, like to see what the enemy is saying.
The enemy.
And ironically,
those who speak truth, that is his enemy. It's important to take notes of that. Those who speak truth are his enemy.
A lot of my trolls are my biggest fans. Like, for example, that James O'Keefe video that we got where him and Alex Stein were discussing me calling them gay. We wouldn't have had that clip if it wasn't for Reddit. Reddit mines the internet to find the best stuff, mock it, call me gay, say I'm a liar, I'm trans, I'm secretly stealing, all that stuff. But
okay, now the trans thing, yeah, that's probably a long-running joke on Reddit. Secretly stealing? You don't secretly steal, you openly steal. And that's one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen. You blatantly, openly steal money from people.
That's where we get a lot of our clips. And he comes over to me, and it's been so cool. He's been in my little yellow cabin all week. And the little yellow cabin is so magical here. We had the last people who own this place that we bought it from visited. They're in their 80s. Really good people. And the woman planted all the trees on the land. She's Norwegian. And and she called it the cabin in the pears because she surrounded it with Asian pear trees. And she was like, "Oh, the cabin in the pears. Oh, no, the cabin in the pears, in the pear grove." So anyway, so he's just in the cabin. He sees me walking back and forth. And today Tempo Bear was here teaching the kids drums and pickleball. And so he's getting footage, and he's like really documenting what we're up to. And we're doing another documentary with the festival and all this stuff. And so it's cool. He's like my neighbor right now, Adam. You know, I just have this.
Hey, Adam, watch out. Go look at some videos showing how Owen talks about people that he has met in his real life. There's a guy, like a neighbor or something, who's actually helped Owen out. And whenever he was honest with Owen and told him his opinion, he aired, I don't know if it's true, but if it's true, a whole lot of his personal family drama on his live streams, because he was honest with him and gave him his own opinion about why he was going through what he was going through. So, Adam, watch out.
This legendary director, editor, Bear, who's die hard. I mean, he's been with us through everything. And the other night he goes, "Hey man, I was just checking out Reddit," because he's just looking for clips. It makes his life easier. And he's like, "There's this one dude on there who's posting this, like," he goes, "Bro," he goes, "some of your listeners are just really like young and lost and vulnerable." Because, you know, Reddit, it's like you have to hate me. And every now and then someone will go on there and post something like, "Oh, did you see Owen do this?" And everyone's like, "Owen's gay, his dad sucks dick," or something. Like, it's just really angry and crazy.
Go to Reddit and you check it out yourself. It's not like that. I'm not saying it's never like that, but it's not the way he says it is.
Like, you're not allowed to be positive. And Adam was like, "Bro, I dove into this guy's video, and he's just like this young dude in Minneapolis." I don't watch any of this stuff because I can't get sucked into other people's lives. It's bad for my head. But it's cool hearing his interpretation. He's like, "Yeah, this guy's walking around Minneapolis, and he's got some drunk Nigerian on his couch, and he's like talking about how he doesn't want to drink, but he's like young and like lost, and he's like trying to be a good guy, but he doesn't know what to do and all this stuff." And he goes, "Yeah, man, sometimes I can be like hard on these guys." He goes, he goes, "We're in our 40s. We're like dads. We're kind of rough." He's like, "Some of these dudes are young and totally lost, but they're like good. There's like goodness there." And so
I want you to notice his speech pattern. He has just repeated the same thing 3 times. He's lost. These kids, they're just lost. They're just lost. And so what is he going to paint himself to be? The savior. I guarantee you he's going to paint himself to be the savior.
some are a little like autistic, a little, or like spectrum-y. And he's like, this one dude is just like showing the world his life. And he's like, it was like sad, but it was like, he felt like if they had more direction, that he had real potential. And of course, this coincides with several other things that are happening in my life because that's the way.
Synchronicities. Everything makes sense, guys. Dude, I'm anointed by God, except I don't believe in God. I believe in God, but not the way y'all do. My God is if you send me money, I'll pretty much do whatever you want me to do.
Synchronicity seems to be working. Is he cutting the grass while he's there? No, because then he would move here and bring his family, and then we would be overrun with Mexicans. He totally agrees with me, by the way, about where Mexicans belong. They belong in warm, dry climates. You know? Like his wife, who's Mexican, like gets pneumonia when it's too cold. Like they're not supposed to be in the north. And they know that. Like the ones that get it know that. Because there's certain aspects, and don't let me forget my train of thought. We're talking about starting businesses, but there's aspects of
He's not talking about starting businesses. He's talking about being a savior for the lost. That's what he was talking about. So don't let him forget that he's the savior.
Mexico that I love. Like, but I don't want to live there because I'm not Mexican. I'm Caucasian. I'm a North American. But one concept of Mexico that I want to bring to North Idaho, and somebody is doing this, a German family is doing this here. There's a new restaurant opening downtown here where it's a restaurant and then they live above the restaurant. And it's like bear is in it. It's like burn something. It's like they're literally, it's like this. I'm looking at this. I'm like, that's my fucking dream. Like one of my dreams is to have a farm in the country. We make our own butter, milk, bread, grow cherries, all this stuff. And
his dream is the same dream that 90% of us has ever had.
then we have a restaurant downtown and we live, you know, and the kids work there, you know?
When did that pop up? That's the first time I've ever heard him say the restaurant thing. Where does the castle fit in? Because I have heard him talk about the castle.
And it's so cool if you had a family with a bunch of kids that lives upstairs and then your business is downstairs. So you have this flow of income, but you live there and you have a bunch of kids that run it. Like, that's awesome. And Adam was like, dude,
so his dream, I'm not knocking it. That I just want to spell this out. His dream is for him and his wife and his lieutenants. Not, you know, I don't, I'm gonna spell it out. His dream is for him and his lieutenants to live in a castle out in the boonies, and then have a restaurant where his wife and his children are gonna live and work, so that he can have income.
That's all of Mexico. Like in Mexico, he's like, there's almost no taxes. He goes,
and if you think I'm just talking crap about that, that literally is putting the pieces together of what he has said his dream is. The restaurant's new as far as I'm concerned. It may not be, but it's definitely his wife and children living upstairs above the restaurant and then working in the restaurant whenever it's opened, and him and his lieutenants by themselves out in the castle.
The downside is there's no welfare. There's nothing for old people. They just die. Like if somebody doesn't have resources, they literally just die in the street. Like the government will give you a bag of oranges with worms in it. But the flip side is there's like very little regulation. So in Mexico, you can just have a family just starts a business where they live. And to me, that's amazing. Now, I don't want to live in Mexico. I don't even want to live in Arizona, New Mexico, Texas. I don't think those areas are for white people.
He hates Texas for some reason.
I think I am for Idaho, Montana, Wyoming. New York is for white. I think it's Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, Virginia, Wisconsin, Illinois, Ohio. Like, these are the areas that I think ethnically and biologically I belong. I was listening to a Crow today, and it was like this great episode. This guy was talking about soil and how we're
Crow, another guy who doesn't care that Owen is a lying, manipulative, dangerous cult leader.
God breathed breath into clay. Like we're all like talking soil basically. And how everybody is like, every skin, every race is like a different color of soil. You have like your red soil with more clay. You have your...
And I want to be clear. I know that I'm pausing it a lot, but that's, like I said, I'm in a mood. It's not out of hatred. It's about holding him accountable. Two months ago or so, I set out to find out what is going on with the Bears and Owen Benjamin, because I was a listener and a Bear back in 2017 or so, 2018, and got busy, came back, and then saw how he has verbally abused. And I witnessed it firsthand whenever I was listening to him. So it's not about hatred. It's about holding him accountable for the lies of manipulation and the blatant, boastful, prideful deceit that he thinks he is able to get away with.
Black soil, you have your lighter soil, more sandy soil, and we all have like a slightly different mineral composition, and we live and then we go back to dust, we go back to soil, and then, our spirit goes somewhere else. That's the way I lived for 10 years in Asia. Yeah, to me that sounds absolutely great. And they don't want us in Mexico, by the way. There's this idea that white Americans have that we can just go anywhere. It's like, should I live in Mexico? Mexico sounds pretty based. They don't want you there. You're not Mexican. Adam feels weird going to Mexico.
Does he know that? All right. There are people that live in Mexico that are Mexican that look white. I don't know if he knows that or not, but that is 100% true.
Like Adam looks super Mexican. He's part white, but he looks really Mexican. His wife's totally Mexican. Like they speak Spanish to each other. When he goes to Mexico, he's like seen as an outsider, and he gets like weird.
There is some truth to what he's saying. I just want to say that. I'm ignoring him, but there are some truths to what he's saying. But the whole they don't want you white people in Mexico, that's there's racism everywhere. But the way he's saying it.
Vibes. All right. So like white Americans thinking that they can just always go to any country. It's like, maybe I'll go to Paraguay, you know? Paraguay sounds pretty based. They don't want you there. You know, maybe if you're crazy rich and you bring a ton of resources and can employ a bunch of people, but you're not Mexican. You know?
Get back to you being
it's
a
like
savior,
it's
man.
just the outsider mentality is real. Now, if you're if you know all the people and you really fit in, fine, but they're just not white Americans are not this God's gift to the world that a lot of them think they are. Where it's like, oh, I'll just go live here. I'll just move to France. It's like, how do you know that you'll be welcomed there? Are you going to act like an asshole? Are you going to learn their language at least? Are you going to impose your ridiculous behavior on them? You know? Yeah, but anyway, living above the business. So all these things are coming together, and then
Okay, finally. I'm not a big fan of listening to Owen make valid points, because all it is it's just, what is it? It's a snow cone. You know what I mean? It's a snow cone on a hot day. It's refreshing, but it's dipped in feces, or it's the center of its feces. The source of it is feces. If you know where it was coming from and the intentions of why it's in your hand and you're eating it, it is flat out feces.
Airbnb thing happened, and I'll read that to you. And Adam's telling me about these listeners I have that are young and lost, and they want to do.
Now, let me tell you about a buddy of mine telling me about my listeners and how good I am for them. Now, this isn't me bragging because it's somebody else telling me, but it's me telling you.
Good. This is something that he was emphasizing to me. He's like, this dude in Minneapolis just has this random drunk African on his couch. He doesn't want to drink. He's trying to learn how.
He didn't say he was African earlier. He said he was something else.
To live, and he's just lost, man. And he's like,
that's the 5th time that he said that this kid is lost.
He's like, you got to remember those people are also listening to your page. And so this one's for you guys. This one's for the youth. We're going to talk about the
This one is for the youth. All right. I might actually dissect this entire word.
Map of victim consciousness, and we're going to talk about starting your own business, and you don't need any money to do it. One of the biggest myths is that you need a lot of money to buy a business or to buy to get going. It's all about scale. Can you buy a shovel? Can you buy a rake? Can you buy a computer or a phone?
You don't need any money, but can you buy these things? I get the point that he's saying, but it's to anybody that's listening to this and you just YouTubed Owen and youth or whatever the tags are going to be for this. This dude is a vile, manipulative predator. That's what he is. And if he is trying to focus on the youth, that means that he is wanting something from the youth. He's wanting his legacy to continue. He wants people to be paying for him and his children and his wife and everything else that they have for the next 10 years. That's the only reason. He does not care about you. And the first time that you upset him by asking him any questions that's pressing to him and his reality that he is set in place with the echo chamber that is so very important to him that he can't even go outside the doors of, the first time that you question that, he's going to put you in your place, and that's why you have a bear name and not a real name. That's exactly what's going to happen.
You know, and so I was trying to retweet people that are with experience with this. Like a lot of people are showing, like I started with a rake, and now I have a fleet of trucks. You know, and just to show the youth that you don't have to be gifted into a business or to buy to get going. It's all about scale. Can you buy a shovel? Can you buy a rake? Can you buy a computer or a phone? You know, and so I was trying to retweet people that are with experience with this. Like a lot of people are showing, like I started with a rake and now I have a fleet of trucks.
Notice he could have said, I retweeted people that they did this, but he didn't. He said I, to make you think that he is the one doing something. He's not. Disingenuous. And you might think that I'm looking too much into it. Listen to how he speaks the way he speaks for a reason. And it's very manipulative and it's a very predatorial. I apologize for my attitude, but it's a disgusting thing, and it deserves it. It deserves its.
And just to show the youth that you don't have to be gifted into a business with rich parents. I don't come from money at all. I come from generational intelligence. Like my grandparents suffered for my parents to have more, and my parents saved and suffered so that I could have more opportunity. But we don't come from generational wealth. That's a total myth about quote unquote white people. That if you see white people, quote unquote white people, thriving and having multiple homes or something, that we got it from the backs of blacks, from cotton, and we've just been sitting on gold for 400 years. It's total horseshit. My grandfather was both my grandfathers had.
Okay, this is where he is. Statistically, if you come from wealth, you are statistically more likely to be successful. That's true. If you're from poor, if your family's poor, if you're from the underprivileged or whatever you want to say, statistically, that's where you're going to end up. Now, it is a whole lot of your attitude and how you work and your ability to do what you should do. In every bit, I didn't come from wealth. I didn't. We were lower middle class, and my family got lucky. They knew some people. They were friends. We got a really decent house out in the country for cheap. It was dirt cheap for what it was. It was a nice big house. And I'm not even joking. My parents, because of it was a family friend, my mom knew the family who owned it for 20 plus years. It was a family house, their family house, that wasn't being used. And we were able to live in it if we maintained it, fixed it up a little bit, and just maintained the yard work. And my parents were paying $300 a month for that. And it was a 3-bedroom, 1 bath, out in the country, 2 to 4 acres. It was a blessing. But the point of that is that I'm very thankful for that. But one of the things that he's saying is kind of true. It's not kind of true. No matter who you are, where you come from, you can work your way up. You can. And that's the United States of America. That's why people come here.
Blue-collar jobs to a point where they died from the toxic exposure. My grandfathers had jobs that illegal Mexicans right now legally wouldn't be allowed to do because of environmental regulations. One was a lead miner, and the other fixed furnaces in Chicago. So I don't know if they got all their slave money in the 17th century, and then for some reason they slummed it for a while, and they buried their slave gold, and then but one died of pancreatic cancer, lung cancer, the other of emphysema, black lung, but they didn't want to touch all their slave money because, off the backs of we all get it. And we'll address the victim consciousness. It's just all an excuse. And victim consciousness can even be inflicted on people that are successful. Like, I built a house and I own my own land and all that. And they go, oh, he stole it because the earth's real. Because the victim, I lost.
That is his guilty conscience coming out. Do you see the hostility, the venom right there? People say that because that's what he did. I'm doing videos on Milker Nation's 10-hour documentary right now because this dude is doing his little tour around the podcast circuit, and all of these people they're so thirsty for attention and clout chasing that they don't even care. They don't care that he has lied, manipulated his way for the last 5 years, milking the people that were listening to him while he was manipulating them during a world pandemic. They don't care because he is part of Hollywood.
Be a 15-hour day today. What's going on, Hometown Bear? I saw your...
Let's see this. Let's see if I can't get that back.
Instagram that's very hot. Keep crushing.
Nope. All right. I don't even know how far along that was. Sorry for the hostility and the attitude. I'm like I said, I'm in a mood. Anyways, yeah, Venomous. Owen Benjamin's today's live stream. I don't remember the number. You probably saw it whenever it flipped. Anyways, this is the Texas Goat Radio Show. I am your host, Matorius. If you made it this far, I appreciate it. Please like and subscribe, comment, tell me your personal opinions. Just comment. I appreciate those, and other people do. Comment section is awesome. Until next time, as always, till next time.